Why does it feel so tight? I must get asked this a dozen times a week. You know, whether it's a hip or a knee or a shoulder or a back, why does it feel so tight in there? There's a couple places that tightness can come from. The first is the joint itself, and all a joint is where a bone meets another bone. So I like to use the hip as an example. I'll get right in here. So the hip joint is a ball and socket joint. It looks like this. And if there's no space for any number of reasons, there was trauma, you haven't moved, you sit at a desk for 40 years. I have a couple of lawyers who suffer from tight hips. Even kids, even like high school age kids who sit most of their days because they're in class 7 or 8 hours a day can get tight hips. So joint itself can cause tightness of like the bones just get closer to each other. That can happen as we age too. That's one reason that joints can feel tight, or my hip can feel tight on my back or my knee. The other reason is muscles get tight, and there's something called the sliding filament theory, and I'll get a little nerdy on you here. But basically, when muscles move, they go like this. They slide over each other, and our brain says to our muscles, and this is a really cool thing, our brain says to our nerves, and our nerves then say to our muscles, hey, bend my elbow. And so the fibers in your bicep and a couple other muscles say, okay, let's bend our elbow. And what's happening in that muscle, the physiology there, is that one set of fibers is staying still and another is pulling closer together. And that's what happens. When things feel tight, it's that gets a little sticky, right? That doesn't happen as easily, right? That's why we stretch. It feels really good to stretch because we're asking those muscles to get a better range, to get kind of unsticky, if that makes any sense. So when I get people in the clinic who say, hey, why is this stiff, or why does it feel tight? That's kind of the first place I have to go, is to say, okay, is it stiffness coming from the joint itself, or is the stiffness coming from the muscles around the joint that's not making that move? And then how do we intervene and help this person feel less tight so that they can move better? I appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Keep getting better every day.